Seventh Garden is a fantasy manga I brought from the library. The concept is all about Awen Gardner. He is a young 17-year-old man. He works as a gardener for this mansion. He's quite fond of Mary Fell, also known as Marie. She is the daughter of the master of the house. Even though he doesn't seem like it, he's actually a real badass. He lived as a feral child after the death of his parents, and he was picked up by the master of the house and the headmistress. And so he's a simple gardener, but everyone else doesn't think he does much, but he's also sort of the protector of the village. So whenever some bad types come out, like bandits, he fights them off in secret. And one day he is out in the woods and he falls into a chasm, and he finds a young woman tangled in vines. This young woman is not a woman, she is a demon. She calls herself Verde. She has been asleep for 1,000 years. And she knows everything about him already. It's her way. So she tempts him with an offer. If he offers himself to be a pact with the demon, she will give him unlimited power. And he can use that to become Mary's wife, maybe. You know, he doesn't have to be the lowly gardener that sits around cutting flowers and things like that and watching her from afar. She obviously likes him too. But however, Awen says no. He's happy with his little slice of utopia. He gets to have sort of adopted family with the servants and maids of the house. He gets to protect over Mary. He's quite content. However, a gang of holy knights are dispatched from the cathedral. They're supposed to protect villagers, but they've come to raise it. Someone has accused his village of being heretics. So these violent knights start cutting down everyone, and he fails to save Mary from being attacked. So, well, he's already been dispatched a few nights, so he decides to take on Verde's deal. She gives him unlimited power, and she becomes a gigantic demon sword for him to use. So he uses that, he fights off the knights, wakes up, maybe it was just a bad dream, but Verde is so powerful that she's reset everyone's mind and sort of fixed everything. So now she has her own goal. She wants to kill the 6 angels that control their world. And she also has a backstory. They betrayed her or something. That is the basic concept of Seventh Garden. Essentially, Verde wants to have revenge on the 6 angels, and she's going to use Awen to do it, even though he doesn't want to. So the series, I don't remember how I heard about it. I think I might have seen an advertisement in another manga magazine, but essentially, I wanted to check it out because there's a cool fantasy concept. Basically, Awen, when he has to fight other angels, the angels will turn themselves into weapons and have a host, and he has to fight a series of different people, sometimes people he knows, sometimes people he doesn't know. It's a very action-packed series, a little bit violent, but always interesting. And I got halfway through the series until volume 7. There's going to be some major spoilers, so you can fast forward to the timestamp I'm going to leave right now. We're going to get to spoilers, and 3, 2, 1. Seventh Garden switches from a fantasy series to a science fiction in volume 7. And it's not a very good one. We basically find out that Seventh Garden is a virtual world. So everyone in Seventh Garden is virtual, like an AI essentially. Not really an AI. There are certain characters that are AIs, but the other characters are data. Verde is actually an avatar, and Marianne is her controller. She's actually living up in the real world. She just got released from prison, and that's why Verde was in a chasm for 1,000 years, because her owner was in prison, unable to log into the virtual world of Seventh Garden. And when she said she wants revenge on the other 6 angels, she just wants to kill their avatars. So by changing it from a fantasy series to a science fiction, it really sort of deflates the entire concept, because after Verde and Awen team up to kill their first angel, we find out that that first angel was just an avatar, and the person who owns that angel is sitting up in the surface world going like, darn, I can't log in. That really takes away a lot of the emergency and sort of, it pulls it out on your feet, not doing it very well. Marianne is attacked by heavily armed mercenaries sent by the angels, or the real people, and she has this team of mercenaries herself that kill all of the bad mercenaries, and she swears vengeance on the avatars, I guess. It's just not a very good jump from one genre to another, because, I mean, they didn't come out of left field. However, they had little things here and there, such as the angels have weird suits that look futuristic. They use technology. I was hoping that they could go for maybe the angels were aliens, and then the aliens are pretending to be angels in order to invade. That would have kept in tune with the whole themes of good and evil and religious fallacy and the belief system. It would have been interesting to do that. However, by changing it from fantasy to science fiction, all of that's thrown out the window because your main character is now basically Data. He doesn't really exist. No one up to this point, anyone who's died, they're not really real. I'm not saying that any series that switches from one genre to another is bad. There are a few examples, like there's a Spanish thriller called Rec. It's a zombie movie done handheld camera. However, in the second film, they switch it to demonic possession. So it sort of adds a new twist to it. That's over 2 movies. Another movie that switches genres is Spring. It starts off as a simple romance film, but turns into a horror movie. This series doesn't do a very good job. You can tell that they might have switched. There's a little high-tech stuff in the fantasy series that I can buy. Switching it completely to science fiction sort of ruins the whole concept for me. And Volume 9 isn't really scheduled, so I read Volumes 1 to 8. And honestly, I don't think I can continue reading just because I don't want to, because it sort of goes. Imagine you're watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then after the end of season 2, you find out that Aang's not real. He's just a computer program being controlled by a kid or something, and he's trying to save the virtual world of the world he lives in. It would just completely sap it of all realism and stakes and things like that. It'd be a really bad twist, and I feel that Seventh Garden is an interesting concept. I mean, it was a little bit light on character development, heavy on the action, but it was interesting enough to grab my attention. However, that last minute twist in Volume 7 just completely ruins it, so I don't recommend reading Seventh Garden.